Hello there. Welcome to Basic Banjo Lesson 6. My name is Timothy Dirksen, and this lesson we are going to be focusing on a few other chords in the key of G and a few other keys that are commonly played. By now I kind of hope that you have got down the basic G, C, and D chords for playing the banjo, so you don't have to look at them when you're doing it. And those are your simple G, C, G, D7, and back to G. But sometimes there are a few chords that are added in there that sound a little different and add a little bit more to the song. So something like this. And you're like, well, what's that? There's a little bit odd chord in there. And that is the E minor. That's why I played it before the G. So it sounds like this. There we are. What it is it's like your C chord. So as your, what you know, except the index finger is not on there. So it's all off. So it's just these two strings here. So you have your middle finger, 2nd fret, 4th string. And you have your your 3rd and 2nd string open. And then you have your ring finger on the 2nd fret, 1st string. So it goes. Oftentimes they'll go and add this right before the C chord, so you just go from your E minor here, and you just drop down your index finger to play your C. There's quite a few songs that'll use this. One of them that's particularly popular is the Foggy Mountain Breakdown, where you have your slide. And that's kind of what song it's used in. And there's a lot of other songs that'll use it too, but that's a really popular song that uses that. Another chord that's used in the key of G that's pretty popular, especially like in gospel numbers. Life's Like a Mountain Railroad, Pound in the Blood. There's a couple other ones that use them. They use it. It's the A7 chord. What that is A chord where you place your finger across all the strings on the 2nd fret. So it's something like this. The only difference between the A and the A7 chord is with the A you do not play the 5th string. So the A you just play this, whereas the A7 you can go and play that. A lot of times they'll go and throw it right before the D or D7 chord. So it'll be like Life's Like a Mountain Railroad, like this. And that's where they'll throw it in. And all it is it's just your string, your finger, whether it be your first or however, either your first, your index finger, or your middle finger across the 2nd fret of the banjo. So those are kind of the main other chords that are played in the key of G. Now, sometimes, like my last lesson showed you how to use the capo. So like playing in C, where you capo up on the 5th fret, or A, 2nd fret, or whatever, you know. Sometimes there's other people doing that, and so you don't want all sound the same. So you try to mix it up. Sometimes it's also interesting to get different tones like your banjo by not capoing. So one of the popular keys that are played is the key of C. Now you can capo it up at your 5th fret, like I showed in the last video, and it'd be something like this. And that's kind of how it sounds when it's capoed up. Or you can play the key of C with its actual chords, which is C, F, and G. Now C and G you already know, and the F is fairly similar to the D7. What you do is you have your D7 chord, your first fingers up here, but then you add these 2 fingers over here. So it uses all your 4 fingers. So you add your ring finger on the 3rd fret, 4th string, and your pinky, 3rd fret, 1st string. So then it sounds something like this. So basically you play your C, and so how you can think of this is where you have your C chord on your 5th fret, and you go up 5 frets, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's your next fret, which is your next chord, which is F. You go up 2 more frets, so 1, 2, and there's your G chord. So you have your C, which is kind of like you can think of as your G, so it's your main chord. Then you go to your C light chord, which would be F in this case, so it's your next highest chord. Go back to your main chord, which is C. Then you go to G, which would be your highest chord then. And that's how you kind of play that. Now, the next chord, and key I should say, that's fairly popular, is the key of D. Now, there's about 3 different ways of playing this. Either you can go and capo it all up, way up at the 7th fret here, so it sounds something similar to this. Something like that, or you can play it like I know my brother does when he plays guitar. You go and capo your instrument up at the 2nd fret in A, and then you play your in the key of C. So you play your C chords. So you have your C. Like that, because he likes playing the key of the C chord, so that's how he plays it. Or, for a different variation, you can go and play the actual chords of the key of D, which is D, A, and G. So we know now how to play A, which is your finger over the 2nd fret. And we know how to play G from that first lesson, which is just all the way open. D, however, is a bit different, quite a bit different actually, than a lot of chords that we play. Instead of F, which is similar to D7 or C or a few other chords, D has it flipped around. So instead of like this, you're like this. So you have your index finger on the 2nd fret, 3rd string. So your middle finger on the 3rd fret, 2nd string. Then your ring finger, 4th fret, 4th string over here, and then your pinky goes on the 4th fret, 1st string. So it sounds something like this. Which is where you have your D at the 7th fret. You go up 5 chords, 5 frets, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is G. You go up 2 more, that's your A. So D is your 1st chord, G is your 2nd chord, and then A would be your highest chord. So you play your G, then D, then G, back to D, and you go to your A, and you go back to your D, because that's your main chord. Now another key that is sort of popular, my dad likes singing it, and then Folsom Prison Blues is usually always in this key, is a key of E. E is a bit, there's actually quite a few variations of how you could play E. E, either you could capo way up at your 9th fret here, so it's way up high, or you could capo it up at your 2nd fret and play the chords of D. So it'd be something like this. Or you could go and play it, put your capo at the 4th fret, way up here, and then play in your C chord. So or you can actually go and play the chords that are of E, which is E, A, and B. E actually seems really challenging, but it's not really that bad. Instead of C, where you have your fingers here and your index finger on the 1st fret, 2nd string, you just move it up 1. So now it's on the 1st fret, 3rd string. So it sounds somewhat like this. It's not quite like your E minor, which doesn't have any strings up here, any fingers up here, which is like this. You put your index finger on the 1st fret, 3rd string, and it sounds like this. Now A is your finger across the 2nd fret. B is just 2 frets higher. So it is your finger on the 4th fret across all 4th frets. All strings on there. So it's like this. Go A, E. That is your key at E. Now, while we're at it and we're in strange chords, we can go and play in the key of A. Most people will go and capo it at the 2nd fret and play in the key of G, which is the easiest way to play. Or you can go and play the actual key of A with its actual chords. So you have your A, your D, and your E. And they're in that manner. So your A would be your main chord, D would be your next chord like a C, and your E chord would be the highest like a D. So it's now, another chord, another key that's sort of not as popular, but I've played it a couple times, is the key of B. And that is either you can capo it up at your 4th fret and play in the key of G, or you can play the actual chords of it, which is B. Let's see here. Why haven't I played this one for a while? B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have an B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. E and an F sharp. That's right. Which F sharp's not that hard to play, really. All it is instead of your F chord here, you move it up. You move everything up 1 fret. So it's like this. You have your 1 fret up here. So it's so instead of you have your B here, that is your key of B. So that will give you a bit of other stuff that you can go and practice and learn on. And I hope to see you next time. Thanks for watching.